Good evening. How are you? My name is Keegan. And while I am tired, and I'm doing this later than I have been lately, I was looking forward to doing this because I'm kind of having a bad day, and this is pretty therapeutic. So, what's something I want to cover today? I want to talk about hatred. A feeling of hatred. Until the rise of MAGA, that was a foreign feeling to me. I've never really hated anyone. And me saying that is basically me admitting to the fact that I hate them. Because I do hate them. They have destroyed my country, and they have directly or indirectly been responsible for many, many lives lost. And if you ask me, that pattern is going to continue. Not only will it continue, it will get worse, and more lives will be lost, and all that blood will be on their hands. But that's not the only reason I hate them. They are a direct threat to me, my life, and my family's lives, and everyone I love lives. I reserve hatred for those deserving of hate, because it is a natural emotion to feel hate, and just like all natural emotions, there is a time and place for them. I don't think there's any single emotion that is wholly bad. And so, just like I hate the Nazis, glad they were destroyed, and want to continue destroying them, the same can be said for the MAGAs, and the Klan, the Confederates. I reserve my hatred for those who are deserving of hatred. And some would say that it hands over a degree of emotional control to other people. And I can understand that, but at the same time, we can control, to some extent, to a good extent, if you're well practiced, your reaction to your emotions and the things that they make you feel. But I don't think anyone can control your emotions. I don't think you can control your emotions. I think emotions are involuntary responses to outside stimuli or inside stimuli. You know, you can get stewing in your head and make yourself feel some wild things. But evil movements elicit feelings of hate in me. And I'm perfectly fine with that. That's not to say that I would dehumanize these people. Quite the contrary. They're very human. It is very important to remember they're human. There are lines that I don't think in the fight for freedom, liberty, justice, democracy, there are lines that we can't cross, that I'm not willing to cross. Especially because I think this does, at some point, turn into some sort of civil conflict. There are things I just would not do to fight for freedom. There are things that I think are immoral, and I would not cross those lines. So my hate doesn't allow me to dehumanize them. And I can understand why they are the way they are. You know, they have been taken captive by an ideology, a poison, that they have been surrounded by, in some respects, their entire lives. they almost certainly, not even almost certainly, they absolutely have not learned critical thinking skills. They don't know how to determine what is and isn't true for themselves. So I can understand why they are the way they are, especially because they're suffering and they're afraid and they don't know what is and isn't the right answer. So they just believe whatever the authority figures that were present in their lives at the time have told them. But just because I can understand why they are the way they are doesn't make me hate them any less. Not one bit. I mean, I was born at exactly the right time when we were told, just work hard, do your best, and you can do anything you want. And then I entered adulthood, and almost immediately, everything went to shit. People my age have a bone to pick with society. And it's easy to feel that hate. It's easy to want vengeance. Even I can be guilty of that. For some of these people who have been lost to this, like Alex Preddy and Renee Nicole Good, you know, if there's no justice, if I was their family, and if anyone who knows them happens to see this, not likely, but if you do, I'm not saying any way that you respond to your traumas is wrong. What I'm about to say, in fact, the way you're dealing with this horrible thing that has happened to you may be better than how I would deal with it. I'm just saying what I would do. If they were my loved ones, and I felt that there was no justice, and so far my understanding is that there isn't justice. Nobody who's involved in their deaths are behind bars. Well, then I would want vengeance. You bet your ass I would. And it's hard when you broaden that perspective to our society as a whole to not want vengeance on MAGA. Excuse me. Entirely. And I have to temper my mind constantly to remember that this is unfortunate, that this is so sad that this is happening, and that if it comes to civil conflict, it's such a waste that we'll have to do what we'll have to do. But we will have to do it. That is undeniable. And nonetheless, I do hate them. It's not a good feeling. I never knew it until this all began. It's actually an awful feeling. It is the reason I am filled with so much rage so frequently. But what can you do, you know? And then you have the people, the cult of apathy, that they're not really, either they're not paying attention, or they don't understand what's going on, or they think it's not as serious and that it'll blow over. I don't know. But, I mean, I don't hate them, but they are incredibly frustrating as well. Because the time's going to come where if you're still ignoring it, or you're still denying it, or you're not treating it with the appropriate level of gravitas, then you are also a problem. The time is quickly approaching where anyone still managing to sit on a fence, you're going to get knocked the fuck off that fence. That's not even just coming from me. The MAGA cult will make you come off that fence. Because once they get to the point where they are fully consolidating, you're with them or you die. You're one of them or you're not one of them. And unfortunately, the way I think, especially when I consider my side of things, is that when we get to the point where this is potentially an actual conflict, well, I'm not going to force you to take sides, but if I can't tell what you are, then I can't trust you either. Somebody who's not willing to take a stance, evil or otherwise, you won't be trustworthy in some sort of a civil conflict. But be fortunate that people who think as I do tend to have boundaries they won't cross. Authoritarian movements like MAGA, like their supporters, they don't have those boundaries. They don't have those lines. They will eat you all up for breakfast. And as you sit there and complain, well, I didn't think it was getting this bad. How was I supposed to know? Blah, blah, blah. They'll just keep taking chunks out of you until piece by piece you've been swallowed up. Fence sitting in a time of societal crisis is a potential death sentence. Because one way or another, there are going to be sides coming into conflict. And you all will be the ones stuck in the middle. But you'll have no one to have your back. You never picked a side. And that's typically when the side that has less moral roadblocks will start doing horrible things to convince all of you to join their side. If you can't be won over with bribery or fear or persuasion, then you will be won over by force. And unfortunately, as someone who likens himself to one of the good guys, I can't do that. I don't have it in me to force people to join me. Although I do try very hard to persuade people. So I think that's about all I've got today. It's getting dark fast. And yet it's still hot, humid, and I'm still sweaty. Gotta love it. So, my name is Keegan. I leave you all with this today. And be safe.